I have been trying to record this several times now, but I've had to delete the previous iterations of this because I got too heated. Let's see if I do not get too heated this time. Because the story here is looks like coming out of a cartoon. You see, late last month, the elected government of Spain, a bad one, but elected, was found that the party was found guilty of corruption, the party itself as an organization. This prompted the opposition, the parliamentary opposition, to start a vote of no confidence against the government, and they won. The Socialist Workers' Party, which was the main party of the opposition, along with Podemos, which is basically the Communist Party at this point, and the Catalan and Basque nationalists, they got together to evict the previous government. And immediately after this happened, the 2nd of June 2018, the leader of the opposition, a guy called Pedro Sánchez, got into the presidency. He is the president now. Nobody voted for him, though. He was elevated to the presidency through a no confidence vote. Now, his first thing that he said is that elections would be called soon, which is what you would expect. However, now he is saying that he wants to finish the term. He wants to be president until 2020. He forgot about the whole election soon thing. He forgot about nobody voting for him. Actually, in the last elections, he got the worst results in his party's history. But elections in 2020. And the very moment he got into the presidency, he started with his partisan politics, which is something that in Spain is done very often. A president gets into power and he starts doing what he wants. He starts governing for the people who voted for him instead of for the whole of Spain. For example, he's pushing again the constant obsession of the Spanish left of modifying the Valle de los Caídos, which is a big basilica and cemetery in the mountains around Madrid, which was built by Franco to commemorate his victory in the Civil War. Several thousands of people are buried there, including Franco. The left has often wanted to move Franco out of this place and change it into a center of remembrance of the victims of the war and of the dictatorship. If you ask me, I do not know why we have to be moving around bones of dead people, but it is their issue, and they are pushing for it because that is how Spanish politics are like. You govern for the people who voted for you, not for the whole of the society. But the first thing that this guy did is the Aquarius matter. The Aquarius is a ship from a German ONG, if I'm not mistaken, which was part of the and is part of the whole operation in the Mediterranean for ONGs to pick up people who throw themselves to the water and bring them to Europe. The thing is, they picked up about 600 immigrants and they were, as you may know, rejected in Italy because the new Italian government does not want any illegal immigrants coming into their country. The Italians said, why not take them to Malta, which is much closer? So they went to Malta, and Malta said that they didn't want to have anything to do with it because it was not their problem. And indeed, it was not their problem. It was not the Italian problem either. But guess who said that he wanted the ship? Pedro Sánchez, president of Spain, president non-elect of Spain, said that he would accept the migrants. He offered us volunteer. Nobody voted for him, yet he has the authority to offer us as volunteers for stuff. He could have asked, he could have, I don't know, did a referendum, something, I don't know. These people are supposed to be very happy with the will of the people. They are socialists, aren't they? PSOE, the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party. Well, we are now volunteers, so the ship came. The ship came, passing in front of the waters of Tunis, of Algeria, very close to France, very close again to Italy, but no, they had to come here. No, there were no safe havens for these people in which there is no war. For example, Tunis, I hear, is a very nice place to be in, but no, they came here. I would like to speak about the fact that we let them in, because I do not want to be misunderstood. I do not think that 600 people need to be left on board a ship to starve. These people were running out of food, these people had no medicine, these people had nowhere to go. It is decent, it is just human decency to admit people into your port if it's just to give them food and medicine. And I have to agree with the Italians too, because it seems like the Italian authorities have decided to stop the NGOs from handling the migration crisis and to take matters into their hands, because they are a national government from a sovereign nation. And I could not be happier about this. The NGOs are by nature non-elected organizations. They operate without the backing of the will of the people, and yet they see themselves as holding the right to bring migrants into sovereign nations. They have been found in suspicion stealing several times. Last year, for example, the Italian government forced them to sign a document by which they would be forced to collaborate with the Coast Guard, and by which they agreed to not collaborate with the people smuggling mafias in Libya. These people who earn money and get rich out of smuggling people into Europe. And several NGOs refused to sign this document. The chief prosecutor of Catania, a guy called Carmelo Zuccaro, accused them of colluding with the mafias and being part of the whole business. And after all, the mafias would run out of business if it were not for the knowledge that if you send a ship full of people north into the sea, they will be rescued and taken in by Europe. As Zuccaro said, quote, "One must ask if it is right and normal that European governments leave the task of deciding how and where to intervene in the Mediterranean to the NGOs." Okay, I think the Italians are doing well. It might have been anti-humanitarian to leave 600 people floating in the Mediterranean, but a nation must have control over its borders. No non-elected organization can have the authority to decide who comes into the borders of your nation and who doesn't. But the Spanish side of things, indeed, it is good that we take 600 people who are starving and give them food and give them medicine, but there is no reason to take them into the country. They have no business being in this country. They are illegal immigrants. They can ask for legal migration. If they are indeed running away from war, they can ask for asylum, and we will give them asylum, because that is what civilized countries do. They give asylum to people who need it, but they do not open their borders to anyone who comes in with a boat. That is not how borders work. And what message are we sending with this? Italy is now closed. It is clear that they are closed. The business of the NGOs and the mafias, which are at this point basically one and the same, this business is over. They cannot bring them to Italy anymore. No Malta either. What are they going to do? Who is the next in line? Spain is the next in line. And what message are we sending? That we are going to be the ones who will take everyone in who arrives in our coasts by boat. And indeed, in the days after the ship docked in Valencia, about 1,000 people arrived on our coasts by boats, by rubber dinghies and so on, which is a peak that we haven't had since many years ago, when it seemed that the illegal migrants started to relax and stopped assaulting our borders. The message is clear. Now we are the ones receiving people and opening our gates to anyone who wants to arrive. And indeed, we should be opening our gates to anyone who wants to arrive. Legally, you can immigrate legally to Spain. Spain is not a closed country. Spain is actually quite an open country. We do not discriminate. We let everyone in. But please, do it legally. So if we continue like this, if we continue sending this message, the only thing that we're going to get is that we will send the message: everyone is welcome. Come legally, do whatever you want. And okay, we are going to have, this time is 600 people. And then the next Aquarius will come, and the next, and the next. And we're going to have 1,000 Aquariuses bringing more and more people. And in the end, we are not going to be able to support these people. We will no longer be able to save 600 starving people on the sea, because that is the good thing that we did. We saved 600 people. But in the end, we will not be able to. We will be the fools whose hospitality and goodwill is taken advantage of by the NGOs who have their business, by the mafias who have their own business, and by the people who are not trying to immigrate into Spain how they should. We do not stop the migrant crisis and the tragedy that is thousands of people drowning in the sea by continuing the situation. We stop this by sending a clear message. If you throw yourself at the sea and start drowning, we are going to pick you up. But you're not going to end up in the port of Valencia or the port of Catania. You're going to end up in the port of Tripoli, which is where you came from, or the port of Benghazi, or the port of Tunis, or wherever you came from. That is how we stop the problem. And the Aquarius arrived, and we gave them food, we gave them money, we gave them medicine. Good, we're hospitable people. And we let them in. And we've given them a 532 monthly allowance in euros, which is curious. Monthly, like we expect them to stay for a while in this situation in which they need an allowance. Curious. And we immediately gave them the asylum papers, so they can ask for asylum, and lawyers for free. We gave them international law lawyers, so they can study for free. And we also gave them houses. And what kind of houses? That's the best thing. Spanish students have been forced out of their houses to make room for the migrants. Wonderful, glorious. This is the thing that I like to see. In my country, Spanish people, voters, taxpayers, citizens, are being forced out of their dormitories, out of their houses, to house people who come from outside. Here, a local newspaper called Actualidad Valdepeñas, which is a local newspaper from the city of Valdepeñas, says one guy from Valdepeñas and his neighbors have been forced out of their students' residence to accept Aquarius migrants. A young guy from Valdepeñas, Rubén, that studies German in Alicante since May, and that lives in a residence for which he pays 750 euros a month, has been, along with several other residents of the residence, has been forced to leave it to put migrants in. This guy studies German because he's got a job offer in Germany, and he needs to learn German to work in Germany, which is, by the way, what migrants should do. Just saying. And very well, this guy, Ruben, and his other neighbors, I heard there were 12 in total, they have been forced out of the house they paid for, they paid the rent, they have been forced out to put people in. Apparently, they were given the warning that they were supposed to move out 24 hours before the fact. They were given 24 hours to leave and left homeless. Funny, isn't it? How this government, this party, PSOE, there used to be some years ago a housing crisis in Spain. Many people were not able to pay their rents and were being evicted out of their houses by the banks, because the banks owned the houses and they were not paying their rent. And this party, and rightly so, complained, because Spain is a welfare country, and how can we have Spanish people being forced out of their houses? If we have a welfare state, we should be able to sustain them somehow and help them get back on their feet. And of course they complained. Everyone should complain about this happening. It's a disgrace.
Nosotros decimos que si hay dinero para rescatar a los bancos, tiene que haber dinero para rescatar a las familias y a los autónomos endeudados. Y ese va a ser mi compromiso. No va a haber más desahucios en España cuando haya gobierno socialista. Ese va a ser mi compromiso, amigos y amigas.
But now when they are in the government, they are the ones evicting people from their houses. They are not doing it legally because they weren't able to pay the rent that they were forced to pay contract. No, they're doing it because they have to put someone else in. They force Spanish students, they force them out of their houses. Pedro Sánchez here, and the government, and him particularly, the president, has shown his priorities. Who comes first in Pedro Sánchez's Spain? The Spanish people, the taxpayers, the voters, the citizens, the people who the Constitution protects, or the people he invites in? Apparently the people he invites in, because he's ready to kick people out of their houses to accept the new migrants in. Apparently this guy, Ruben, has been told that he was being evicted out of his house because the migrants could bring illnesses and it is a health problem. Well, it's quite curious seeing how the residence is in the very center of Alicante, a big city. If it is a health problem, why are they being put in the center of a big city, a province capital? I think that maybe they were considering that the migrant camps, if we have them, or whatever we can set up with tents, are too uncomfortable for these people who are coming illegally. Maybe we have to kick Spanish people out of their houses to put them in. And do not misunderstand. Pedro Sánchez has his priorities. He thinks these people who come illegally to Spain come before the people who vote and who pay taxes and who live in Spain with citizenship. But he doesn't do it for hospitality. He doesn't do it out of the goodwill of his heart. He doesn't do it because he is such a good person. No. He does it to virtue signal. He does it to show everyone, oh, look at me, how good I am. Look at me. I am the best guy, the most hospitable, oh, look at me. I'm giving my country's resources to these people who are in need, and I'm the best, and I'm the greatest. I'm an angel. That's what I am. He does not care about these people. Of course he doesn't. If he did, he would put solutions to the problem. He would not accept them in. He would send them back and say, no more people in the Mediterranean because you are not going to get anything. He doesn't care. He does this for his own benefit. He imports these people as pets, as instruments to use for his virtue signaling. That is what he's doing, importing people as tools. And this is him, and this is the rest of the people in Europe doing this. Tools, pets. That is how they see human beings. And of course, they put them in the best places they can find, even if they have to trample the rights of Spanish citizens. Citizens. Citizen is not a small word. Citizen implies you have a certain amount of rights and duties, and you are protected by the Constitution. Every Spanish citizen is protected by the Constitution, and they have rights, such as not being kicked out of their house for no reason, or for stupid reasons. Especially if they have to pay a rent of 750 euros, which is ridiculous. It is ridiculously high. And best thing of this, that the most wonderful news of this matter is that within 24 hours of these people arriving into Spain, being given free food, free medicine, free money, free housing, trampling the rights of Spanish citizens, of the 467 that arrived within 24 hours, 23 of them have disappeared. Of course, they were given free rein. Nobody put them inside a camp. No. They were able to go wherever they wanted. And within 24 hours, these migrants who were given the documents and given free lawyers to become legal migrants, they didn't care. They didn't care about being legal migrants. No, they disappeared. Nobody knows where they are. The authorities lost them. They're running free. This is what they cared about. Seeking asylum? No, they were not seeking asylum. They were given the chance to ask for asylum. No, they were economic migrants who come because they know that they can get free stuff here or in Germany. They are probably halfway to Germany by now. 23 people within the first 24 hours have disappeared. I do not know how many more, or the days that have passed since this news came out. So this is the situation. Our new government, voted by nobody, offers us volunteer for whatever. They prioritize the people from outside over the Spanish taxpayers, the Spanish voters, and the Spanish citizens, trample the rights of students, and they lose the people who they invited. They don't even know where they are. This is Spain, my friends, as Spanish tourist industry has often said, and now we say with irony, Spain is different.